like always, very excited to get a win. Fun is in the winning, so a lot of fun Saturday night. Um, really liked the way that our defense played. Really liked the mentality that they had going into the game. Um, Obviously some things that we've got to correct, but really like just kind of their focus and their mentality. And I thought that showed up early in the game. So was very encouraged about that. Obviously, got to get better at the end. We're going to work the same situation tonight that we had at the end of the game. Right there, we got the stop. So very happy, very pleased with getting the stop right there, man. What an incredible play by Tez Roberts and Devontae Wilson, two young guys on the squad, making a big play for us to seal the victory. But obviously, with no timeouts, with the offense having no timeouts right there, we've got to shut that drive down a lot sooner. So we've got to correct that. Offensively, obviously was not pleased with the way that we played to start off the game, but was very encouraged, very pleased on how they got themselves out of the quicksand. Was able to make the plays when we needed to down the stretch to win the ball game. So overall, like I said, man, a win is always good. And it's a whole lot easier to correct some things after a win. And we used yesterday for that. We were pretty tough in our meetings yesterday in trying to make sure that we get those things that we need corrected because this week got a very, very tough task ahead of us. And don't let the record fool you. This is a very, very, very good football team, very athletic football team, a very big football team. Who has played every opponent that they've faced up to this point very, very well. Obviously, I had a chance to watch the Jacksonville State game live after our game Saturday, and they played very well in that game as well. So a lot of weapons, a lot of explosiveness that Tennessee State has. So we've got our work cut out for us in preparing for them this week.
You seem disappointed in your offense's play overall. I know at times this year, especially early in the year, you're pretty high on them. What needs to change from them to be more consistent to play a complete game?
Consistency. They've got to be able to run the football consistently. They've got to be able to put drives together consistently. They've got to be able to finish drives consistently. Got to be better on the plus side of the field consistently. They've just got to play more consistent football. You go back and you look at some games where, man, we played very well, and then you look at some games where we maybe played well for a half. You take Toledo, you play lights out for a half, you just can't finish drives, and then you kind of peter out the second half. So we've got to play consistent football, and we've got to get back to trying to create an identity. I think that's probably one thing that has kind of petered off a little bit, and is figuring out who we are. Are we a tempo team or are we a spread team, right? Because those are two completely different things. And just creating a mindset about ourselves. And I think when we do that, we'll create that consistency because we've got a vision for who we are and what we want to be. So I'm not down on them, not frustrated on them. It's just this is my job. I got to figure out the things that's going to make them better, and we're responsible for making them better. And we've got to get better. We've got to, like I said, we've got to finish drives. We've got to put the ball in the end zone, and we've got to get out of just banking on the big play. And that's kind of what we do right now is we don't really have a whole lot of consistency in our offense. We just bank on a 50-50 ball, or some big play, some explosive play to get us back into the ball game, to put us over the hump of the ball game. So we just need to be more consistent.
After seeing Maserati take a few carries from the backfield, is that something you're going to look to continue doing throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, we're just trying to get him touches. He's an explosive guy. He's probably the fastest kid that we have on our team. He is the fastest kid we have on the team. So we're just trying to figure out ways to get him touches, whether that's in the backfield, whether that's out wide, whatever the case may be. That was one part of it. The other part of it is we felt like we needed to move Rodney Castile out wide. I think that he fits a little better out there. I don't. He was getting into a situation where I think he was just taking too many hits in the backfield, not really built for it, and just starting to wear on him a little bit. So we felt like we could move him out there and limit some of those hits a little bit and let him play in space because that's what he likes to do. So just kind of flip those guys. But we're going to continue to do that. Just it's all about trying to get your best players touches.
Also about T.J. Warren, the kind of day he had.
Yeah.
Multiple areas.
Yeah. He's co-defense player of the week. He just played hard. He just played hard. He made a lot of plays for us. He made me look great. Everybody wanted to talk after the game about the call on the punt, the fake punt and all that. And, hey, man, Coach, that was a good call. That was a dumb call. That was a really stupid call. That was 4th and 9, 4th and 10, on our side of the field. I felt like we needed a spark. And I really believe in that kid, man, because when you're around, he's infectious. Like, his work ethic is infectious. The way he practices, he's always out there. Coach, man, you need to put me at returner. Coach, you need to put me at wideout. Coach, you need to put me at running back. Coach, you need to put me at corner. You ought to see me play corner. You ought to see me rush the passer. You ought to see me throw. And all of a sudden, it's like, hey, TJ, come here and be returner for me. And he can return, so we put him back there and let him be returner, And this week he may even, catch some punts back there as returner and things. Kid's got a lot of confidence. He believes in himself. He believes in, in us. And in that moment, he believed that he could get that first down, and it was a check. He had to make the call on the field. He had to put us in that call. Can I sit here and tell you that it was the right look for that check? No, but it wasn't the wrong one either. It was kind of half and half. There was a guy that could have been counted as the 4th, and TJ basically just said, I'm good, I'm going to call it anyway, and he checked it, and he made the big first down on the fake, and defensively he had a heck of a day and made some good decisions back in the kick return game. It just, I wish I could tell you that it surprises me, but it really doesn't. That kid, he just works, his Monday through Friday is as good as anybody I've ever seen.
You're going to face a team this week that had 230 rushing yards against Jacksonville State, and Chris Rowland hit 113 receiving yards. That's a ton of talent on offense.
Oh yeah, they've got it now. They're talented. That Chris Rowland, he is, he's as good a player as you'll find. And he's not small. He's short. He's not small. He's built. Even in high school, when I saw him in person in high school, he's a little bowling ball of butcher knives, and he can go. He's very shifty. He's got great lateral speed, got great vertical speed. He's fearless in the return game. They do a nice job of getting him the ball too, and that's the thing. I think he's kind of their featured player. They do a nice job getting him the ball. Big up front, very talented up front. I think that was probably the thing that I noticed against the game, or against Jacksonville State in the game Saturday was. They were able to control the line of scrimmage very well, and like you said, they ran the football very well on a team that usually doesn't give up that type of rushing yards. And then on the other side, it's just as scary, if not more scary. Their D-line is very big, very athletic. They've got a transfer there from Alabama that they've kind of play in that stand-up defensive end spot, very long, very rangy. Me and you've been around here long enough, Neil. We know they're going. When they take the field, they'll look like the New York Jets. You know what I mean? They're going to look like the Jets, and so you got to be ready to strap it on. You got to tie your shoes tight. You got to, maybe put one more notch in your chin strap. You got to be ready to strap it on because they're a good football team.
Talk about maybe the balance over on the conference. I'm not sure if you've seen kind of what's happened across the league this year, but you have a team this past weekend in Tennessee State. Down the last couple of years, taking Jacksonville State to the brink, and then you had Tennessee Tech, who's playing well, nearly beat SEMA on the road. Yeah,
everybody's getting better. Everybody's getting better, and there's a lot of, a lot of parallels in the conference right now. Everybody's just playing really, really well, and it's October, so now you start playing everybody, and people get out of their non-conference schedules and all that. It makes for some fun football. I know that. Saturday I was having a hard time. I was flipping back and forth because I wanted to see Tennessee State play Jacksonville State because that's who we're playing. But that game between Tennessee Tech and SEMO was nuts, And matter of fact, I flipped it off when there was like a minute 36 seconds to go, and I think Tech had to drive down and get 3 or something to tie it up, and And me and my wife were watching the other game, Tennessee State game, and my wife says, "Well, the other game's still at 1 minute," and I was going, "Hold on a minute now, that was like 7 minutes ago. Something's going." So I flipped back, and they had tied it up, and they were going to overtime, and it makes for fun football. I think that it makes for a lot of it's making for a lot of respect too, for the conference and for the league. Because you've got some teams that have gone outside of this conference, have beat some people, have beat some really good football teams, and now we're starting to go head to head, and you're starting to see some of this really good football. And I think from a playoff standpoint, from a league, a league perspective, it's making for some really good football. It's making some people take note, and that's probably the biggest thing that I'm happy about is just the perception of the league right now. I think is very good.
Any major injury news from this past week?
Not really, none of yet. I'll know a little bit better. We'll staff meet here at 2:30 today. We'll have our full padded practice, but more of our light practice tonight, and we'll kind of see some dudes, and then tomorrow we'll kind of, we'll make some decisions on some guys. So, but for the most part, as far as I know, we're okay about where you need to be October-wise. So, like always, it is what it is. Whoever can go out there, we'll put them out there.
Any time frame update on Vicente?
Yeah, he actually saw the doctor. Probably pretty slim. Bones, there is some growth there, just not very fast. So probably pretty slim for this season. But we'll just keep monitoring it and see, if he can keep continuing to grow back some bone.